Samson Dauda is the reigning Mr. Olympia, taking the 2024 title in what's arguably his best shape ever. The question is, can Nick Walker reach this level and actually challenge Samson's Olympia winning physique? Now, as a die-hard Nick Walker fanboy, I absolutely think he can, but if we're being objective, Nick's gotta go beyond his best shape to date. And honestly, that's all on him. We've already seen Nick in top form this year at the Pittsburgh Pro, where if judging had been fair, he should have beaten Derek Lunsford. That's the same Derek Lunsford who recently took Samson down at the 2025 Arnold Classic. So for anyone still doubting, that's your first sign. Nick is definitely in the same league as these guys. In this video, we're putting 2024 Olympia Samson Dauda head to head with 2025 Pittsburgh Nick Walker, both at their absolute best. Front double biceps, undeniably, Samson has insane flow, long filled limbs, a tiny waist, and a vacuum that just completes the picture. Nick Walker, on the other hand, comes off more like a powerlifter, big heavy core, but with a drier look and without question the best biceps in the IFBB today. And in a pose literally called front double biceps, that still matters. Now it's true, if you take the arms out of the equation, Nick doesn't have much of an argument. But flip it, take the midsection out and Nick, with his guns and drier look, would completely dominate the pose. Against guys like Samson, he could try a variation where he sucks in his stomach, but it has to be fully controlled every single rep, every single time. My message to Nick, you really need to hit a vacuum. Not because I think it's absolutely mandatory to win the Olympia, but because the top 4 from last year all nailed it and Nick's midsection seems to be his biggest hurdle in the eyes of both judges and fans. Just imagine Nick pulling a perfect vacuum on the Olympia stage. It would shock everyone and turn every hater into a fan. I really hope he listens to his biggest fanboy and at least gives it a serious shot. That said, Samson's flow combined with his 2024 conditioning is still more than enough to beat Nick in this pose for now. Next up, the front lat spread. Structurally, it's the same story as the front double biceps, but here Nick doesn't have the luxury of showing off his superior guns, so all his advantage is gone. Let's be real, this is Nick Walker's weakest pose and nobody expects him to beat Samson here. His long torso, shorter legs, wide waist and shorter arms. It's basically everything working against him for a strong front lat spread. To his credit though, he's improved the execution over the years and I genuinely believe this is the best he can do. But wait, what if he added the vacuum here too? Sure, it would be difficult but not impossible. The shock factor, the wow factor of pulling off a vacuum in the front lat spread, if it looked anything close to this, I'd hand him the Sandow right there. I know the haters are thinking, the vacuum doesn't suit him. True, it's not perfect, but it doesn't need to be. Combined with his other undeniable attributes, it would instantly make him the best in the world, period. Until then, this pose goes to Samson Dauda again. Next up, the side chest, and here, Nick Walker suddenly becomes much more dangerous than from the front. His thickness, his compactness, it all becomes a major advantage. Too bad for him though, because the side chest happens to be Samson Dauda's strongest pose. Every Mr. Olympia has that lights out pose, and for Samson, this is it. It's not just overall thickness, it's the chest that seals the deal. Samson probably has the biggest chest since Arnold. Just look at it. And when you compare that to Nick, whose chest thickness has always been a weak point, the difference is huge. This pose is close. If Samson had lost just a little polish, he could have lost here. But at the 2024 Olympia, his dryness combined with his insane features makes this pose arguably the best in the world today. So Samson wins the first 3 poses in this comparison so far. Next up, back double biceps, and here Nick Walker comes back strong. Now don't get me wrong, Samson's back looked phenomenal at the show. I even believe he outshined Hardy. But Nick, At the Pittsburgh Pro, he completely dominated Derek Lunsford in this pose. That's a whole different level. Nick wins across the board here, back, lower body, arms, you name it. Even his X-frame could give Samson a run for his money. There's not much to debate. In this pose, Nick takes it, just as dominantly as Samson dominated from the front. Up next, the back lat spread. From the rear, Nick Walker is just superior across the board, even in what some might consider a less flashy back pose. His back is larger, thicker, and when you combine that with arguably the best lower body in the business, some of the best hamstrings we've ever seen, Nick Walker is simply too much for Samson Dauda from behind. Samson still needs to fill out his lats more. For his frame, he's still lacking mass across the back to truly challenge Nick here. Next up, side triceps. If Samson dominated from the front and Nick gave him no chance from behind, this second side pose shows that both of them are strong from the side, and honestly, this one could go either way. The devil's in the details. Nick hits a more conventional pose, and based on what Tyler Mannion says, I'm pretty sure he'd give this one to Nick. But this is my channel, and even as Nick Walker's biggest fanboy, I genuinely appreciate Samson here too, and I wouldn't rush to hand this pose to Nick just yet. Despite what Tyler said, I really dig Samson's Dorian-esque execution here, full chest, tight midsection, solid triceps, and strong calves. But Nick brings superior triceps, a jaw-dropping midsection from this angle, and an incredible side leg. Combine that with his more conventional stance, and I think in the end, Nick takes it. Looks fair to split the side poses between them, one for Samson, one for Nick. Next up, abs and thighs. Looking at these pictures, this one seems like an easy win for Samson. Normally he doesn't hit this pose this well, but we can't use that as an excuse. At the 2024 Olympia, his abs and thighs were truly impressive. Now, Nick can also look incredible in this pose, sometimes even better than what the footage shows, but when they are both at their absolute best, Nick usually has the edge. The issue is that in the past couple of years, his abs haven't been as tight as before. Considering how good Samson's abs look here and the fact that he has superior quads, I have no choice but to award the 2024 Mr. Olympia the abs and thighs pose. Last but not least, the most muscular pose. This is a strong pose for both guys. Nick Walker's hands clasped most muscular is legendary, and at first glance, you might think Samson matches him, or even beats him. Statuesque as he is, Samson looks bigger. But when you factor in proportions relative to height, Nick is actually the more muscular of the two. On top of that, Nick has the polish, sharper separation through the arms and shoulders, a tighter midsection, and overall a more refined look. So while I wouldn't blame anyone for giving Samson a shot here, for me this is clearly a Nick Walker pose. Now, when we switch to the crab variations, things get trickier. Both of them look worse here than in the hands clasped, and maybe Samson has the slightest edge. But overall, the most muscular goes to Nick Walker. Final score 4-4. Samson was dominant from the front, Nick was dominant from behind, and they split the side poses, both very close. They also split the last two poses, where again it was razor thin between them. Now, because Samson has the better overall flow, and with today's judging criteria, flow seems to be a huge factor, maybe too important compared to conditioning in my opinion. On stage, Samson would probably take this matchup. Personally though, I'd still lean Nick. But here's the real takeaway of this video. If Nick Walker can master the vacuum in his front poses, it changes everything. It flips the narrative. It leaves the judges no choice, and it could literally turn his biggest haters into his biggest fans. I truly believe that if Nick nails the vacuum and brings the package we saw in Pittsburgh, or better, he wins the 25 Mr. Olympia.